Welcome back to The Race. I'm Chris Stewart, and this week we're talking about immigration. It's a topic that sparks conversation and debate really wherever you go. Now, we're here in El Paso, Texas. This is one of this city's oldest neighborhoods, and for them, the issue of immigration, it's a little bit different. To say the least, you look at this fence, it's a little bit closer to home because it's something that happens right in their backyard. So this is the one that's going to be replaced?
This is the fence that's going to be replaced. This has been in place for quite a while. The idea that the government has told us is that it's a replacement fence. It's not a new fence, and they're actually calling it a wall.
Marisa Limon has lived near the border for most of her life.
Just to be able to have a binational identity in a bicultural world where you have family a lot of times on both sides. And so in many ways it's beautiful. It's a true asset. The challenges come in when it's also a highly regulated, government-enforced space that is your home.
What's that like?
I kind of liken it to a little bit of an occupied territory, a militarized zone.
She now works for the Hope Border Institute, a social justice nonprofit that works with people on both sides. What do other parts of the country not understand when it comes to the border and the people who live by it?
The idea that I don't think they understand, or it's more difficult to grasp, is the true proximity. Kind of like any other state line or a barrier from here to there, it's a neighborhood. These are friends and families and people that we are close with, businesses. I have ties on both sides. It's literally in someone's backyard. So it's very much a direct proximity, and you can't be in one without the other.
With illegal immigration getting so much attention, she calls for people to think about the challenges those on the other side face.
To get here is very difficult, and when you're leaving, a lot of times we have people who are seeking asylum, not just trying to have a better life in terms of financial means, but really just trying to leave for the safety of themselves and their family after someone has been killed or after gangs have been harassing them. And I think many people, if they would put themselves in that position and about the care and love they have for their family, might empathize a little more and try to understand, like, okay, maybe this person is fleeing something that's really difficult.
As you see behind me right here, there's that steel barrier that we were talking about that's being built here in El Paso. Right now, there's a pretty big backlog of immigration court cases in the U.S. According to PolitiFact, more than 700,000 people are waiting for their cases to be heard. The reasons include everything from a shortage of court personnel to the nature of the cases. About 30% of the backlogged cases are asylum cases. So what does it mean to seek asylum? Newsy's Eugene Daniels and cartoonist Nick Rafferzo teamed up to break down what asylum really is.
People from all over the world immigrate to the United States for different reasons every day. For example, they can be coming for college or a new job, or they can be seeking asylum and protection. But how does the asylum process work in the United States? To be granted asylum in the U.S., you have to be fleeing or afraid of some type of persecution linked to your political opinion, religion, nationality, or ethnicity. You can also be a member of a particular social group facing persecution. You also have to be able to prove all of this with evidence, which can be tough for a lot of asylum seekers. There are two types of asylum in America: defensive and affirmative. Defensive is used after deportation proceedings have already begun. A judge will hear the evidence and then make a decision. Affirmative asylum can be done without being in federal custody. You would fill out an application, be fingerprinted, go through some background and security checks, and eventually get an interview. The length of the process can be different based on each case, but it's typically made within about 6 months.
Well, right there, you're taking a look at the bridge that goes between the United States and Mexico that people use to travel back and forth every single day. But all this talk about immigration got us thinking, what does it really take to become a U.S. citizen, to do it the legal way? You think about the time, you think about the money, you think about the tests that you have to take. Nicole Vowell walking us through the process.
It's a day to remember.
It's kind of like being reborn.
A snapshot of a moment Vashti Morris has been waiting for.
So this is the citizenship packet from immigration, so I became a citizen today.
Morris has been racing toward her goal of owning this piece of paper since she came to America 21 years ago as a refugee from West Africa.
Liberia, we had civil war for a very, very long time, and just somewhere where you didn't have to worry about, you know, if there's going to be a war or am I going to eat today. So it was a dream, and that dream came true.
But that dream, she discovered, was difficult.
There are a lot of restrictions that are coming into play this fiscal year.
Immigration attorney Chirag Patel of Baltimore says the requirements for immigrants are changing almost daily, making the process longer and harder.
The N-400, you would have to complete and submit that to USCIS.
First, the government takes a deep dive into your history through a long list of questions.
Any criminal issues, polygamy, deportation, they really do scrutinize everything.
After finally finishing the 20-page application, the screening begins, and so does the waiting game. This application eventually ends up at a field office like this. Then the applicant waits for an interview and a test.
It could take about a year before you get an interview.
A year is best case scenario, Patel says, and if you make a mistake on your application, you may have to start over.
We have to know everything to be able to get through this process properly.
And as for that test,
you have to study for the civics exam and make sure you know all of the U.S. history and political questions.
Even if you make it this far, applicants could wait up to 4 months to be approved, all to end up in this moment.
A lot of people don't understand how difficult it is.
Morris, a travel nurse studying for her PhD, can now add American citizen to her resume, which means one more thing. You registered to vote too?
I am so happy. I'm super excited. November 6th, I am going to vote.
Moments Morris will look back on, remembering the struggles of restarting the process 6 times to make it.
I didn't know I was going to be emotional. I think it was just knowing that this moment is finally here.
A drudging path to a dream, one she says was worth every second.
A new life, be given a new life. So I'm really excited.
Reporting for The Race, I'm Nicole Bowell.
And still to come on The Race from El Paso, Texas, you know, there's part of our economy that depends on migrant workers. So still to come, we're going to talk to a business owner who's concerned what policy changes could do to his livelihood and his business. We're heading to our northern border for that one.